Oh yeah, let's get started. Can we fix a PR disaster? Well, let's see. Let's see what we can do today. Welcome to the Gen X Gamer Show. Hope you're having a great Tuesday. Let's hit you with that disclaimer.
This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello, humans, and welcome to another episode of Gen X Gamer. That's right, the video game channel that does not buy subs. That's right. We have an epidemic. That's going to be an upcoming show. The epidemic of people buying subs out there. Anyway, today's video on a Tuesday, hope you guys are doing well out there, is how you could fix this PR nightmare that Metal Jesus had. Now, if you're looking for a video that's just going to crap on Metal Jesus, this is not going to be it, okay? This is going to be about how we can do something better, all right? From what I can see, right, this is not uncommon for many YouTubers that all of a sudden find themselves as business owners. And he made a very basic mistake here when it came to this promotion. It could have been great, guys. That's the sad part of this. And the reason I'm highlighting this is so you guys can learn, right? Now, first, let me start off by saying I'm not a financial advisor. Nothing I say is financial advice. Seek the help of a professional. I'm just here to make your Tuesday better, right? That's what I'm here for, trying to entertain you. Now, let me say this. Metal Jesus had this PR disaster back in the day, 7 years ago, right? And it's still haunting him. Now, these are the ramifications of a bad PR campaign. And let me tell you, this could have gone so much better if it was planned the right way, with a little bit more assessment, with the right tools in place, right? And now you're probably gonna ask, well, how do you know, right? Are you an expert in the subject? Well, your uncle Generation X gamer back in the day used to be a salesperson, right? And we used to do a lot of fun things. Now, let's talk about Metal Jesus here. He's got 888,000 subscribers, and of course, nobody ever says that they actually watch him, right? Somebody's lying out there. You can't have this many subscribers and not be a fan of his, right? Not watch his content. So he is a successful YouTuber, right? Of course. So how come he got this wrong? It's very simple, right? It's very simple. I'm going to make some observations. But first, let me tell you a story, right? First, let me tell you a story when I used to be a salesman way back in the day, my younger days with a little less gray on my face. And we had a lot of these. We had a lot of Catalina wine mixtures where I used to work, right? When I was a younger man, I used to wear a suit all the time, and I was a salesman. When you don't have an education, it's one of the best ways to make a lot of money, right? To work on commission, straight commission. And when you work on commission, you can't let anybody mess with your nut. And we had a couple of events a year that were just like this. It's the fucking, and I put that disclaimer there, Catalina wine mixer, right? And what we used to do, right, is at these events, we had a couple of shows, and we would always set them up. Now, for us salesmen, this was like 80% of our year in these two events. So we had to sell a lot. Were we going to tell the customers how much we needed to sell? No. What would we do? We would prepare ahead of time, right? Our mixers, right, that we used to have for the shows, and I have to be careful here not to mention companies, but they were like $100,000 to prep for. That's how much money we spent, right? So you can just imagine how much we had to sell in order for these events to be profitable. I mean, this was our year in many cases. If you're behind, this is how you would make it up. But the way we would set these up, right, is the producers, right, or the vendors of the products that we were selling were actually paying for all this stuff ahead of time, right? So in order to get certain concessions, they would tell us, well, you need to sell X amount of dollars, okay? For me, personally, just my goal of selling for the year, I had to sell about $300,000, right? That's what I had to cover minimum, right? And sales are brutal, guys. If you don't make your sales in 1 year, if you're far behind, they'll fire you. Just that simple. They'll get somebody else who can do it better, right? But what did they do for us? Well, first of all, when we had these shows, guess what? It was open bar, right? Some of our competition had bars in there, but they would charge the customers, right? The customers had to pay out of pocket. We had an open bar. Not only that, we would get waitresses from the locales, sometimes Hooters, but they tended to be more expensive. But there's other competitors out there, and those would be our waitresses, right? Our bartenders. And they would get to keep all the tips because the customers only had to pay tips. We were paying the booze, right? And these gals were more than happy. The only condition we had is to make sure that, everybody was well fed and satisfied, because we needed them to sign a lot of purchase orders. You know what I mean? Especially a lot of guys would come in and they'd be hesitant to buy. But, within a couple of hours and having the game on the screen, it got pretty friendly, especially looking at the waitresses that we got for the event, right? And sometimes we had to get a couple of gentlemen too, because we had different preferences, right, for a couple of our clients. But everything was set up ahead of time, right? Everything was done. Whenever you're going to set up an event like this where you're trying to raise money, you have to have that deal closed ahead of time. And how ahead of time? Guys, I used to pick these guys up at the airport. I didn't want them to talk to anybody else, especially if it was just guys. I'd take them to the hotel sometimes, and then sometimes I'd tell them, hey, do you want to stop, somewhere and, have a good time or whatever? You want to relax? You want to do something? I know where to go. I know where to take them, right? And some of the place I would take them would be to where these young ladies would work, so they would get to know them in advance. So the next day when they would show up at the show, I knew exactly where they were going, right? My purchase orders wouldn't get signed no matter what. You weren't walking out of my booth sober or without buying anything, right? That was the whole goal, right? Those were the days, right? My single life way back in the day. But what can you learn from this? I'm just telling you this just so you know my background and why I'm about to say the things that I'm going to say, right? I got to that position eventually. First, I started off in small sales, and then I worked my way up. But how could he fix this disaster, right? Let me show you here. His number one mistake is he gave his number out. He wanted the whole entire thing at once. This wasn't organic. This was more of a demand. That's what really turned this into a PR nightmare. He said, I need this amount to do this, and I'll grace you with my presence. 50K, are you nuts? No. Never give out your number, right? You might have a goal in mind, but don't tell the people that you're trying to get the money from that, what it eventually is. But let me tell you what you could have done, and I wrote this down because I didn't want to forget it. First, you do, if this is what you're intending to do, right, if you get to this kind of level on YouTube or on your business, right, because this will help you for your business too, guys, even if you're a smaller creator, right? You might get to, I don't know, maybe 100,000, whatever it is. You see many stories out there of creators that show up for events and nobody shows up. That is the worst, thinking that people are going to show up for you and you have no guarantees. You never want to do that. You set it up ahead of time, right? What would I do, right? What would I have done in his case, right? Because this could have been going great. This is just an idea, guys. I'm sure he learned from this, but even if he's watching this video now, I mean, he could do this now. Hey, let me tell you, just give your uncle Gen X Gamer here thanks later. The first one needs to be a small, well-planned event. Now, what do? You case the store. Let's say you wanted to do a store like he did. You go to the store and you ask him, how much do you sell on a Saturday? Right, let's just say it's $1,000, right? That's his regular. And how much do you make? He's Metal Jesus. He can ask those questions, business related questions. Say that guy makes $300, right? Then you ask him, well, what are your most profitable items, right? What do you like to sell because you make the most amount of money? And he'll say X product, Y product, whatever it is. And then say, okay, I want to set up this event here. The one, right? The one store. And you'll say, look, this is what I would like to do. And you set up this event, right? And he's going to pay you for your time and everything else. What does he get in exchange, right? Well, number one, he gets to charge a cover charge for your time, right? And you'll be signing those copies of whatever the heck it is that he's buying. Could be t-shirts. What do you care, right? He's going to pay you anyway. Whatever set amount you decided based on what you know he makes in a day. What if you can improve his sales twofold, threefold, fivefold? Can you get a percentage or can you get guaranteed money? Now we're talking. Now, what do you do once you got the idea? You want to get the ball rolling. You want to contact your sponsors. You need free things, right? Promotional stuff. It doesn't matter what it is. Free is always great, right? And they want to get their brand out there. A lot of companies, especially if you're a larger YouTube, always have stuff on hand to give to people, right? Whether it's posters, stickers, whatever it is, right? You can translate this to whatever business you're in, okay? Doesn't necessarily have to be YouTubers and video games or what have you, but I'm telling you how to plan this out, right? So you can grow it. Now you have to advertise it on your media. Listen, I'm planning to do this here. He's going to let me know what day. You're still not going to firm it up because you're saying, well, I don't want to let it be known ahead of time because X, Y, or Z. You choose your reason. It doesn't matter. Now you have that person contact their most loyal customers. Could it be enough to fill the store? I don't know. But you need to tell them you need to fill the store up with your most loyal customers, right? Because I need pictures with the store full, because this is going to be your marketing going forward, right? Because what are you going to say? Guys, this is just something we did for the local people and it got so big. That's going to be your angle in the future, right? And do not, under any circumstances, do this event until it's sold out. Right? You're going to work at selling it out, but make sure that it sells out. Right? Especially the first one. That has to be it. Okay. Afterwards, after you hold the event, after you film it, after you film the best parts of it, then you use this event for marketing purposes. Right? And you want to get the ticket results with a testimonial from that business owner. Right? And you got to see how much you made. Let's say you made $1,000. Well, then you got to do this 50 times. What if you made 2,000? You only have to do it 25 times. It doesn't matter, right? The more you make in this one, the less you have to do this, because now you have something to sell. Now you can tell a store owner, listen, when I do this, these are the results. You have your own little tiny mini fucking Catalina wine mixer. That's exactly what you do, right? And he could have grown this from one setting, right? And say, oh my gosh, I didn't know this would be so successful. Could we do another one? Are you guys interested? What do you think? Right? You're kind of floating it out there. You already have that number in your head. You already know how many times you're going to do it. If you made $3,000, you don't have to make, right? If you made $2,000, you're going to do it how many times? 25 times, right? But you're not asking the people. They can donate. Of course they can donate. They can become a part of it. Based on the responses that you get, you can sort of calculate where you're going with this, right? And then eventually you can say, guys, this got so big that X, Y, and Z is going to happen. But you don't have to ask the public for the 50 grand because you can raise them from the store owners because they'll be happy to have you there. There is no retro store that I know of that wouldn't like to have Metal Jesus stop by. Right now he's just stopping by randomly, right? which is a cost of the bad PR. But this could have been so much better. Guys, when you're planning stuff like this, make sure you get the help of a professional or somebody that has experience in the field. I'm giving you this just points of conversation, things to reflect on. Because it's easy to just sit there and crap on somebody when they failed. The harder thing to do is look at what they're doing, because even if you don't want to admit it, that you don't watch his channel, he's got 888,000 subscribers. With that amount of subscribers, you can do something special. You can do it with 100,000. You can do it with 10,000. But what are you going to do? It's easy to sit there and just talk smack. Get your brain working, right? Get your brain working, and you can market yourself very successfully. All right, humans, I hope I gave you something to think about. And maybe Metal Jesus next time, we'll think about a few other things. Take care.